Okay. All right.
Okay, you're live right now. I'm going to go sound test it. Give me about 30 seconds. We'll start.
All right. You want to do the mic test? Mic test. Mic check. Check mic. 1 2 1 2. Checking the mic. We checking the mic. How's this volume?
Not yet, brother.
All right.
Okay, mic check, please.
Mic check. Going mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. We're going to say, hey, hey, what's up? How's this volume doing? We all right here? Hitting it on the mic 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Checking the mic. No, up. Sounds good. All right. Am I ready to go?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. Hey, y'all. This is Mark G. Abolitionist on the air with you at KEXU 96.1 FM LP, Revolution Radio, where we explore the connection between imperial war and incarceration. I don't limit myself to being a prison abolitionist because there are more structures and institutions that I seek to abolish than just incarceration. For example, white supremacy and racism, two different things. Male supremacy and patriarchy, two different things. Class supremacy and wage oppression, two different things. And imperial war. Yes, imperial war is an institution of the American empire. Let me be perfectly clear. The United States military is an institution of the American empire. However, it serves the institution of imperial war. The need for imperial, excuse me, lost my space a moment. The need for imperial conquest shapes and defines the U.S. military. In fact, the European settler need for conquest of Indian lands made the development of a military necessary. Any and all who opposed or resisted were killed or imprisoned. The first reservations were in fact prisons. I'm going to talk about Vietnam. I want you all to also hear, make sure you hear, Afghanistan, Iraq, Palestine, and any and every inner city in America. The West Bank in Palestine is currently the largest open-air prison in the world. He was a 9 or 10-year-old boy begging for food on the side of the road like hundreds of others. I was riding shotgun in a truck. I was the one with the gun. The driver crushed his skull with a can of sea rations. That's how the U.S. military functions worldwide. That's how our police forces function in this country. We know that. They kill people all the time. Shoot people in the back. Shoot people in cars. Shoot people in their apartments. We know this happens. We know this happens. We have to integrate that into our consciousness and in our daily actions. Last week I talked about the white supremacist organization, and I talked about racism and their interplay. I'm going to go a little deeper into their relationships and to racism and how it functions. I want to read you some definitions of racism. I have 4 definitions here. 3 are from dictionaries, established dictionaries, and 1 is the definition that I use. And then I would like to compare and contrast them a little bit, maybe point out some of the differences. The first definition I want to read comes from Black's Law Dictionary. It's a dictionary that lawyers use, that law schools use, and it puts things in legalese, if you will. Black's Law Dictionary defines racism as follows: a set of policies that is exhibited by a person or persons toward a group of people of a different race, often antagonistic and confronting. The assumption of lower intelligence and importance given to a person because of their racial characteristics. The second definition is from the Oxford English Dictionary. And the Oxford English Dictionary defines racism as follows: prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against someone of a different race based on the belief that one's own race is superior. And the third one from the dictionaries is from Webster's Collegiate Dictionary. Number one, a belief that race is the primary determinant of human traits and capacities, and that racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. And their number two is racial prejudice or discrimination. And now, the way I talk about racism, or the way I define racism. Racism is an ideological philosophy that justifies, supports, and maintains white supremacist organization through the subjugation, oppression, and punishment of African people, and extends to other indigenous people and people of the global majority. The first three definitions that I read seem to me to put forth the idea that all people are racist and that racism has always existed. Both of those thoughts, ideas, suppositions, what you want to call them, I think are incorrect at best. They are also ahistorical. As I said last week, racism comes into being with the stealing of African people from Africa and their subsequent enslavement in the so-called New World, though it was old and existing to the indigenous people that inhabited North America, South America, or Turtle Island. So racism was created. Racism came into being at that time. It wasn't until Europeans began stealing people from Africa that racism was necessary to create. Prior to that, people were not determined or judged by the complexion or the color of their skins. It was more where they were from. Their city, state, their region, their country, their allegiances is what determined who people were. I think the first three definitions, the ones from the established dictionaries, maintain the erroneous idea that racism has always existed and that all people are racist. Racism was created by European people and actuated against African peoples. African peoples are the object of racism. They do not practice racism. They may respond to racism being practiced against them, but that's different than racism. These are important differences, I think, for us to keep in mind and for us to understand. And that they help us negotiate the circumstances of our lives. I think I've probably pretty close run my time here. I just want to recap real quick. You know, I think white supremacy is a hierarchical supremacist system of organization among European people, such that all power and wealth flows to European and European extracted people. And racism is an ideological philosophy that justifies, supports, and maintains white supremacist organization through the subjugation, oppression, and punishment of African peoples, and extends to other indigenous peoples and the people of the global majority. In my beginning of each show, I talk about the initial development of U.S. military and how it was necessary for the subjugation of the indigenous people of this land. And we can see that through the definition and the way I define white supremacy and racism. And we can see that the definitions in the 3 dictionaries that I cited do not contain anything about the action or the material basis for the existence of racism. And there is always a material existence for things. And our ideas and our thoughts become things. Just as whiteness was created and has become an identity and becomes a thing. Anyway, this is going to be Mark G signing off with you. I want you all to remember that we are the ones we are waiting for. I want to say, what's the call? Free them all. All power to the people. Ashe.
That was great, Brother Martin. Right on time. Sorry, man.
No problem. No problem.
That was perfect. Cool. Sir, I have to go because I forgot my inhaler.
Uh-oh.
Let me get off here.
You got asthma?